Good morning. It's Brian Conley here again, and we are here with Tyler Bieler from Beiler and Company Construction Services, and we are at a new home that his company is building up here in Western Frederick County. And Tyler, would you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you get into this line of work? And
Yeah, absolutely. So I really feel that I'm following my God-given passions and gifts by doing what I'm doing. I've always had a passion for building ever since I was a little guy, running around 2 years old. I was building cities out of Legos and such. So it's just always been a theme in my life. I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, actually, and my dad was had a commercial HVAC and plumbing business. So grew up around the trades, and I ended up going to college and studying business, and got done with that and played a few years of professional football. And that kind of slowed down. So I wanted to do something I was passionate about, something I knew I'd be good at. I knew I wanted to be in the Valley. And so I got hooked up with a commercial GC in Harrisonburg and worked there about 8 years and really kind of cut my teeth there, just learning the ins and outs of construction. And eventually just felt called to, start this business. And we did that about 3, maybe 4 years ago now. And started off with a spec home. It was actually the same exact model right here, and the rest is kind of history. We've been rolling from there, and it's been good.
all right, Tyler, can you describe to us the process that you follow in building a home? Do you have a client for the home first, or do you purchase the land first and build the home and sell it, or how do you go about it?
Well, it kind of depends on the client. Every project's different. We do some spec homes where we're buying a lot, we're building the house and then we put it on the market to sell it. But we also do a lot of custom, specialized custom homes. So in those cases, we try to keep it simple for our clients and do all the behind the scenes things to make it simple for them. But we always start with just 3 buckets. Okay. So what are we building? We got to have a floor plan. Where are we building? We got to find a lot, which is where you could come in and really be valuable to our clients. And then how are we paying for it? So, if you can pay for a house in cash, that's great, but most people can't. So we connect them with one of our trusted lenders who can get the ball rolling there. But start to finish, we like to, the earlier we can get in contact with the client and kind of be with them to hold their hand, if you will, through those steps, the better, because we can vet out, can we build on this lot they're looking at? We can check the health department records. We can walk them through designing a house. A lot of people just have some ideas, but ultimately we need a floor plan to build for us to price and to get the permit. So a lot of our clients just come to us and they have a couple things jotted down on a piece of paper, and we kind of take it from there, and we can bring in a draftsman to start the drafting process from start to finish. So those are the 3 buckets, and we're here to help with all of them.
All right, yeah, for a typical home build, what are the phases that you go through, and approximately how long does it take from start to finish? Because for one of the things for a client who's picking a home is they got to live somewhere in the meantime. They got to be able to afford to live as well as afford to pay for the home building process as it goes along. Mm-hmm. And how does that work out for them?
Well, so what a lot of people don't realize is how much time it takes on the front end to get all the pieces put together before we actually put a shovel in the ground. So normally it's a few weeks to get the plans drawn. Takes a couple weeks for us to put the numbers together and come up with a price. And then normally, lender, once we sign the contract, we know what we're building. Everybody's happy with the plans, et cetera. Normally a lender needs 30 to 45 days from the time where we sign the contract to when they can close on their construction loan. And it all depends on the client. Some of them, everybody's situation's different, right? So some are just on a fast track to get in as quick as they can. Some you have a little more time to kind of lay out the process. But I would say it can easily take a few months to get to that point from where we first talk to where we're actually, hauling an excavator onto the site and getting started.
Okay, when you actually get to the point at which the plans and permits and you're ready to build, what's the process from there? What has to be done first? Obviously, you're starting from a raw lot, so you have to have some kind of excavation work done. Up here in Western Frederick, where you don't have a ready, septic, sewer system, so you've got to put in well and septic and electrical connections. And what needs to be done first, in what order, in order to make it happen?
Yeah. So the first thing we need to do always is get our erosion and sediment controls in. And so those it's normally just silt fence that we put on the bottom side of the lot, and that would keep any erosion and sediment and dirt from washing off the site. And then we always have to put in a construction entrance, which kind of knocks the mud off of tires before it gets out on the road. So that's the first step.
Is that why it's always the big gravel when you put the driveway down first? It's not just to build the base; it's actually functional.
Yeah, and that has to be in before they even issue the permit. So a lot of people don't know that. But from there, once we get the permit, it depends on the land. But if there's clearing that needs to be done, we come in and clear the land. If not, we just, we start moving equipment on site and start digging. And normally at that stage of the project, all of the planning, permitting is taken care of, and now it's just on us to perform and make it happen.
What's the biggest challenge that you face when it comes to coordination of issues? Is there a particular area that's more difficult than others? Because I know you don't do all of this work yourself. You have specialists who you subcontract to do things like septic, maybe the foundation work, excavation. What's the biggest challenge?
Over the last few years, it was we, like you said, we use a lot of subs and specialists to do a lot of our specialized work, but everybody was so busy. I mean, it was just gangbusters over the last few years. So just getting on their schedules, well ahead of time, so that the day that we're ready for, and then we got the materials on site for them, they can come in and do what they have to do. So that, and then, it just seems to be a theme where we need to constantly stay ahead of all the decisions that the client has to make as we go. Like in this house, for example, we had to pick cabinets and countertops and flooring color and paint and light fixtures and so on. So just making sure we give the client enough time to make those decisions, and then give ourselves time to order whatever needs to be ordered to have it here, so that the whole process, the whole schedule can stay on track.
So one of the things that essentially you as a general contractor are really doing is you're lining it up, just keeping things on track, making sure you're doing quality control checks along the way.
Yep. That's a big part of it, is check-in, planning, make sure everybody has clear expectations and everybody's set up for success. And then getting everything to the site so that they can really be efficient while they're there. And then checking to make sure everything was done right, double checking, triple checking sometimes. Yeah, that's a big part of what we do.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept that you brought up there, just of expectations. Because as a realtor, whether somebody is buying a new house, whether they're looking for land, etc., one of the things we always have to deal with is the expectations people have. Because sometimes we expect to be able to walk in and say, "Here's what I want." And then we'll present it to you. But that's not the case.
Right. Right.
I mean, buying a home, and I'm sure building a home is really one of those things that there's so many moving parts that to be able to present somebody with what they exactly thought they were going to find right up front, I didn't word that well. But buying a home it has so many moving parts to it. To be able to walk in and find exactly what you want first time, it just seems like it's unreasonable or almost impossible.
It's a challenge for sure. But that one thing that could differentiate, a new build compared to a house you're buying is that we are literally starting from scratch. And, we work really closely with the client through the design phase, and we offer, constructability and budget feedback as we go, so that we're not designing something extravagant that, is not in their budget, and vice versa. But the nice thing about new construction is that we're starting from scratch. We can make these plans and blueprints, and then that is setting the expectation. That's, kind of starting that process that way.
Yeah, I always look at it, almost any machine one builds, whether it's a house, a car, a pair of scissors, is always a series of compromises. Here's what I want it to do.
That's right.
But here's how much I have to spend on it, or here's how much work I want to put in it, or how much time I have to do it. So it's got to be a major challenge to help that client just work through and figure out where you can make those compromises between expectation and reality, but to get them a product that they want for a price that is still a good value to it.
Right, that's right. And so we always tell people, you can have quick, you can have inexpensive, and you can have quality. Okay, pick two of those three. And we don't budge on the quality aspect. Everything we do is quality. So you can have quick, or you can have inexpensive. So pick one of those. But
yeah, it was.
But we try to do all three, to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I had a coworker years ago that used to say, you can have it good, fast, or easy. Pick two. That's exactly what you just said.
Exactly right.
and that is exactly true. And that's what I always like to see, is to be able to balance those three things, and the point that at the end of the process, what your client is getting is a good value for the investment of money, the investment of time, the investment of frustration.
That's right. And we're here to serve our clients. So, a lot of times someone will think they wanted a certain light fixture, or, the big thing that everybody has a bad taste in their mouth about construction is change orders, right? It's like the dirty word of construction. Well, we don't nickel and dime people. If somebody thought they wanted a certain light fixture and they want to swap it out, we work with them the best we can to just make it happen, as quick and easy as we can. So we're here to serve a client and give them their dream home at the end of the day.
It's good. Well, one of the things that we always run into with real estate, obviously, is people want to know, how much is it? And one of the easiest questions is to ask them back is, well, how much can you afford? We don't want to ever do that, because what we really like to do is we want to see people get into a nice home that meets their needs and their desires as much as possible and is a good value. So how is it that you determine, how is it that you determine what the pricing on a house is going to be? Because one of the things I always like to tell people is that the value of a home isn't a specific number. It is kind of a range, and it depends on where is it, how much property does it have with it, what are the specific features of the home, and what's most important to you. So how is it that we determine that how is it that you determine that when you are pricing out a home?
Right. So the process for us to price a home is, we give a hard contract price. So we'll have those drawings. We'll do all the figuring, all the materials, labor, so on, and we'll actually give a hard price, and then we take that price to contract, and that price is locked in. And again, it's hard to give much price feedback until we go through that process. But like you said, it's always one of the first questions a client has. So we try to give, we can look back at past projects that might have been a similar style of house or similar floor plan, similar finishes, and be able to just kind of do a square foot, cost per square foot price, and get it within a ballpark, so that at least that gives us an opportunity and them an opportunity to say, hey, that's way out of our budget, or no, we got a little bit more we can spend here. Maybe we can add in the big deck on the back or whatever extra feature they want. For example, this house here, this floor plan is a really nice starter, first time home buyer floor plan. It's a little over 1,200 square feet. It's got a full unfinished basement that you could build out however you want it. 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths. This one's on a half an acre, but it's a good bang for the buck. We're selling these in the low 300 price range. So there again, it's affordable, and it's a nice layout. People, it's been very popular, and people have been very happy with it once they get in and are living here.
Tyler, could you give some advice to people who are considering building a new home as to how to select a builder that would meet their needs? What kind of questions should they be asking up front before committing to the project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say the biggest thing is trust. You got to work with someone you trust. And that's for, their quality of work, for just how they do business, and, just their process. It's easy up front in a project for a builder to promise a lot, but when you really get down to it, are they gonna come through with what they are telling you they're gonna do? And my recommendation is to always check references.
Trust and verify.
Trust and verify.
Love that term.
So trust, see who they built for in the past, and give them a call. And you can usually tell in the first 5 seconds if this is someone you want to work with, or maybe it's a little pause and and maybe maybe it's not. But talk to the people they built for, go and look at some of their work, and just trust your gut feeling. But trust, I would say, is the most important factor.
So examine their work, their background, and their history.
That's right.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay. What are some upgrades that are possibly are the most cost effective for people in terms of taking from a baseline? This is livable. This is a good, solid, livable home. The kind of upgrades that people will just be a little bit happier with. From a laminate, for example, laminate countertop to we're standing in front of a granite countertop here, and I know performance on this material is a lot better. But what are some other things people could consider that will increase the livability of their home, the usability, and maybe the value later on?
Yeah, well, you're hitting on a lot of them already. Like this home, for example, is more of a basic home. Not a ton of upgrades, but we've done just about most of what we can do in this home to just take it to that next level you're talking about. But yeah, the countertops are a big one. One of the things we're doing in this lower baseline model that people really like is we're doing custom built-in shelving in the closet. I know a lot of people just throw in the cheap wire shelving. Well, we're actually putting a painted finished wood shelf in the closet, so that's another nice feature. The shaker countertops and the soft close drawers, that's a nice one. But people really just get fired up at the fact that they can choose the entire look of the house. The stainless appliances, the countertops, the cabinets, the paint colors, they can really customize it and make it their own.
Yeah. Along those same lines, are there any upgrades that somebody should consider putting in a new home, since it's going in new, that are inexpensive now, but would cost a lot of money later? For example, additional drainage features, radon remediation pipes, anything of that nature that they should be looking at?
That as the building codes develop, a lot of that is just required as a baseline. Every house now has to have a radon, massive radon system put in when you pour the floor slab. And just the energy efficiency of these homes is becoming really a lot better as we go. We're very green. We think green and do everything we can from an energy standpoint to control air leakage and the thermal envelope of the building. That's a good question. A big one is, if you're building an unfinished basement, to plan out how you would lay that out, even if you're not going to build it out at initially, but you just plan it out so you can get your plumbing, your bathroom, and everything in the bedroom in the place that you want. But like drainage, that should be taken care of.
Yeah, I was asking that because last time it's been a long time since I built a house for myself. That was probably back in 2004, and so the codes have changed a lot since then. And I remember sitting down with the builder at that time, And for example, putting additional drainage pipes underneath the slab, which at the time was not required by code. But he told me, he says, I'm going to put in about $100 worth of pipe here, which will cost you $5,000 to $8,000 if I have to do it afterwards.
That's exactly right. Yep, and that's a good point. That's something to do. By code, we're only required to do the foundation drain around the perimeter, outside perimeter of the foundation walls. Well, we go ahead and we either use a form a drain is what they call it, where the form for the footers, the formed, are actually part of the drain, and there's a drain on the inside and the outside of the drain. So you can practically guarantee a watertight basement at that point, because any surface water from the outside or groundwater seeping into the foundation will fall into that. And if it were to get inside the footer, it has a way to get out of the footer. But as you know, waterproofing a basement after the fact, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars, where you could just put in a $100 pipe or use this form and drain for a marginal upcharge and pretty much guarantee a watertight basement.
Well, Tyler, thank you for your time today. Thank you for showing us around your house. And if you have any questions, Beiler and Company, you can look them up on the web, or you can call us here at Turning Leaf Realty Group, and we'll be glad to help you out. Thank you for watching.